Hello and welcome back. This is Dawn Reby from Excellence in Analytics. And the question for you today is, are you misusing your analysts, your analytical function at your police agency? Well, it's really important to understand why build crime analysis legacy anyway, right? The whole point of crime analysis. We want to create those strong, sustainable systems of analysis so that we can save time, so that we can save resources, so that we can save energy, and so that we can identify gaps in our operations and rectify those gaps, right? And really to document the tremendous work that our offices do every single day. So what I see at police agencies often is that their analysts are just running a bunch of numbers and kicking those numbers out to patrol or to detectives or to command staff or whoever will read their paperwork, right? And so if you are asking your analysts to only give you statistics, you are way undervaluing what analysis can do for you and your agency. So I'm going to walk through just a couple of things today to check yourself and see if you are in fact utilizing your crime analysis function in a underutilized way. So if you are right now having your analysts give you numbers like how many burglaries, how many assaults, how many motor vehicle breaks, if that's what you're having your analysts do, right? Or, hey, can you do this write up on this suspect, right? Can you just download everything that he or she has been involved in? If that's what you're asking your analysts to do, you're not thinking bigger. And I want you to think bigger, think bigger, think bigger. Your analysis function could truly be a cornerstone, the fabric that unites, that brings all this information together, not only within your police agency, but from outside area agencies, open sources, closed sources, all kinds of sources into one spot. And the reason why that's so important is because we don't just want our analysts producing numbers. We want them to perform analysis. And so in order for us to get there, and we're going to have some more videos on what type of analysis can they do? How can they do it? If you're an analyst right now and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And, I'm sitting here just trying to do my best and I don't have any ideas, we're going to get you that in some later videos. But for right now, I'm going to give you exactly how to start utilizing your analysts. So in this book here, Building Crime Analysis Legacy, right? This one right here, Building Crime Analysis Legacy, a law enforcement supervisor's roadmap to build long-lasting, high-quality analytical capacity. There's a section in here, it starts off with the results. You want to be thinking about, what do I want my analytical function to do? A lot of times we just throw analysts in there and we expect them to just do something and see how it goes. You really want to be much more comprehensive in your approach to analytics in your agency. And this book is going to help you do that, right? And this conversation. So you want to think about your results. Do you want your analysts to identify patterns and trends as they emerge, right? As they emerge, and providing patrol with deployment strategies, right? So do you want your analysts to say, hey, I've discovered a burglary series, and I think that the suspect, based on past offending, is going to hit here, right? And so getting that information out quickly, effectively, efficiently, identifying potential suspects who maybe have returned from probation or returned from parole, or maybe you've just seen some escalation in activity from a particular person or group of peoples, and people, not peoples, a group of people, and you can kind of piece together this information. Or maybe the pattern or trend, like it was in my agency recently, is catalytic converter thefts, right? So thinking about, how can I pull together regional information, suspect information, intel from a larger global perspective into the analytics, into the deployment strategies that we have at our particular agency. So that's the question. Do you want your analysts to be identifying patterns and trends as they emerge? This is going to really help you ask your analysts the right questions. And if you're an analyst listening to this, this is going to help you deliver answers to questions that may not even be asked of you. Okay, another role for crime analysts is to identify investigative leads. So we want to have access to lots and lots of information and lots of data sources and systems at our fingertips so that we can identify investigative leads. It's psychology, it's geography, it's studying the activity of people, of behaviors, right? It's not just numbers. So we want to be able to say, okay, is this person escalating in their offending? Is this victim in the cycle of, offending or in the cycle of victimization, is this victim likely to be victimized within 5 days, within 7 days, within 10 days? What's the psychology behind it? Then we may build in some spatial analysis, right? Looking to see, do we have clusters? Are those clusters moving? What's happening during that cluster time? What are the things preceding the cluster? For instance, you could have, let's say you have a bunch of victims, business owners, and their homes are being targeted, right? An analyst is going to look at the location of the homes being targeted, but they're also going to look at the acquisition site, where that victim might have been picked up, right, in a sense, by the offender and followed, right, or things of that nature. So do you want your analysts to be giving you investigative leads? The answer is yes. Exactly. And so you want your analysts to help with developing deployment strategies. Giving out a bunch of numbers does not develop deployment strategies. Analyzing that information, and we have lots of training on how to analyze the information. So don't get caught up there in this particular video, right? But being able to say, I want my analysts to be giving us information on how we can deploy much more effectively and efficiently. For instance, we know our top crash locations. Well, first of all, crash data is crazy sometimes to identify top locations because it's not always, 123 Main Street. Sometimes you have to use buffers and all kinds of fun stuff, which we can show you later on. But let's say the analyst identifies these top crash locations. Well, sending your officers to the top 10 crash locations just doesn't make any sense. We want to be able to dissect each one of those crash locations and figure out, looking at 3 to 5 years of data, and figure out, are they fender benders? Are they because everyone's taking a left turn? Are they a result of speeding? If so, where's our enforcement efforts, our engagement efforts? Are they in alignment with where these things are happening? This has very little to do with only numbers. Yes, numbers will help us figure these things out, but truly the analytical role is to analyze, is to provide actionable reporting, is to identify gaps in our operations, is to streamline information across sectors, across shifts, across multi-jurisdictions. So now, why do we say all this? We say all this, and this video is all about articulating it, deciding what you want as an agency. When you decide, when you have a clear vision of what you want your analytical function to do, to perform, then you can actually give them all of the resources that they need to do that. You can give them the training, the data access. You can set up data quality improvement planning. You can do all of these things once you know where you're going. But far too often, we don't know where we're going. We have the analysts generate a bunch of statistics that really don't get used very often, or really can't help with the true operations of the agency. It can't help necessarily with identifying suspects. So the key here is get clear about exactly what you want your analysts to do. When you become clear, you write that down, you're able to articulate that, then it becomes a tool that you can use to create that buy-in within your agency, and being able to talk with your patrol staff. Here's what I can do for you. Talk with your detective staff. Here's what I can do for you. Then your chief can advocate for you in a much more effective way when they can articulate what the heck it is that you do. A lot of times I see chiefs saying, yes, we're data driven, and they have no idea what that means. So they're like, we have data, we must be data driven. We have CompStat, we must be data driven. And the reality is, so many agencies are simply not data driven. They may have some statistics that they're looking at and they're like, hey, crime's up, crime's down, but they're really not applying the psychology, the spatial analysis, the temporal analysis, all the things that will help our operations work much, much better. So when I ask you, are you underutilizing your staff? That's really the question. If you're a chief listening to this, that's the question to ask yourself. Do you know what your analysts can do? Does your deputy chief, your lieutenant, your sergeants, your detectives, your patrol staff, dispatch, records, do they all know what the analytical function is intended for? And I will say, sometimes it's tricky to articulate, and that's what this book is all about. This book is all about articulating it, implementing analytical infrastructure, And so it's written out for you. You grab the book and it's written out for you. So you just got to take this and take the book bonuses that come along with this book and implement and implement. And of course, any agencies that want a little help with this, any police chiefs, any executives who want to bring their analysts through analyst schools, we have multiple analyst schools that you can choose from that we can really help move this along for your folks. But in the end, I want you to know, articulate what you want to achieve. Think with the end in mind, right? 7 Habits, Stephen Covey. Think with the end in mind. What do you want to achieve? Articulate that. What does identify patterns and trends actually mean? Like, give some examples, articulate that, and be able to continuously send the message over and over again about the why, not necessarily, the data, the what, and so forth, right? So I hope that this has been of value for you. If it's been of value, please share and click subscribe below so that I can continue to produce these videos for you. Thanks again. See you guys later.